the XHose for a very, very long time. And again, something everybody needs. Y'all need a garden hose. Maybe you got one of those plastic ones that are really hard to reel up. You got to buy a reel separately. You never have to buy a reel for this because this is it. Completely collapsible. And if you come right in, and I don't know how close my cameras can get here, this has copper woven into it. Not only for the flexibility, but the strength as well. It expands, right? Because it's got inner tubing inside, and then it's got the protective cover on the outside, and then it contracts when you're putting it away. It is brand new here at HSN. Best in class, top of the line, all brass fittings. Brass will never rust. Brass will, and look at how thick they are. You ever see the green ones that you buy at the store? You could actually bend that with your hand. You're not gonna be able to do that with these. There is an on and off valve right at the dispense area, so you can turn the water on and off right there. All right, there it is. So turn it on, turn it off, so which is really great. You don't have to run back to the hose bib where you store it. This is 100 feet right here stored. Way to look. That is 100 feet of hose. Does your 100 feet of hose look like that? Probably not, right? 100 feet of hose stored. I have it available in the 100, which is the best deal. I have it in the 75, and then I also have it in the 25. If you have a dorm or an apartment, you know, maybe you're a college kid and you want to wash your car, get the 25. If you are anybody else, I always say buy the 100. You can always make it shorter, but you can't make it longer. All right, so they will fit together if you want to fit them together. These are brand new at HSN, the ultimate hose. As I said, compact, no reel needed. You can put, you know what I do? Buy like a little pot, a little clay pot, put the hose right in there. It's decorative, looks beautiful. Lou Caputo launching the XHose with me here on HSN. Hey, buddy.
Hey, man, great to see you. You know what, just like you, I was so excited about this hose. Because I absolutely hate the rubber hoses. They're hard to work with. They get all mildewy, you know what I mean? And they weigh a ton. But the problem I've always had with the expandable hoses is that they burst sometimes, and they don't always live up to the expectations, like the ends get crimped. That's not gonna happen with this XHose. And you know what, it's funny, you hit it right on the head, the nail right on the head right off the bat, that this has copper fibers infused in this. So that's gonna make it stronger. But the other thing is, this is not just any sort of a fabric sheath on this. This is not any sort of polyester. This is Dacron, okay? People are like, well, what does that mean? Because this has Dacron fibers in this, okay, that means this is gonna be more resistant to tears, to wear, so it's gonna last a lot longer. You do have the brass fittings, guy. We all know that on ships, that's exactly what you wanna use for the fittings on a boat, so they put those on here. And I love the fact that it already has that valve on it built in, because I'm one of those people, I hate walking back and forth 100 feet to go to the hose. But let me show you a couple things about this that will blow your mind. First of all, let's come down here to my scales, okay? Because right off the bat, I want to show you exactly what we're talking about. When we talk about a weight difference here, this is 100 feet of the XHose that you're buying right now. This is 100 feet of a traditional rubber hose. Guy, look at the weights here. It's almost a 10-pound difference empty. 10-pound difference lugging these things around. So I know that for 4 pounds, I'm getting 100 feet of hose here. To me, that's absolutely incredible. Now, the other thing I want to show you is this. On the other side of the table over here, I've got 25 feet of a regular hose, and I was able to nestle 25 feet of the XHose right in the center here, where that fits. You could almost put 25 feet of this hose in your pocket, guy. Like if you were camping or if you were RVing or you're a boater or something like that, you're always like, you know, space is a precious commodity. This fits right inside of here. So, guy, you're getting a really strong hose. You're getting an incredibly lightweight hose. It's gonna work with everything. Your pressure washers, it'll work with all your nozzles, your sprinklers, whatever it is you wanna do. And it's gonna last a really, really long time.
You know, you know what I got right here? I got 25 feet of hose right here. If this was rubber or plastic hose, how could I do that? Now you're looking at it, you say, well, that's not much hose. Well, I'm gonna have Caitlin grab one end, if you don't mind, Caitlin. You grab that end and just stand right there. So there it is. There is your 25-foot hose. Now, you ready to watch this? Remember, it's a flexible hose. So now we can step back and step back and step back. Hold it tight, because I don't want you to get, look at how much hose this becomes when you stretch it. And remember, very much, I'm gonna come back to Caitlin so I don't snap you. Thank you, darling. All right, remember too, and it'll all go back to its original size, but remember, this also, when you crisscross it, look, it'll still run. it still works because it can't get a bend or a kink. The problem with traditional hoses, once they bend, they actually get a kink in them, right? You've seen it. Right? And once you get a kink in a hose, this will never kink up, so it has no memory, so there'll never be a weak spot. So if you leave it out in the cold or you leave it out in the hot, like, you know, I lived in Arizona, I lived up in New England, I'm down in Florida, you leave a garden hose out all day, it's gonna, the wear and tear will kill it, mainly from the radiation from the sun. You do not have to worry about this with this hose. That was just a 25. The most popular is the 100, brand new to HSN. It's the ultimate hose, copper actually woven into the fabric, all right? You have a protective, stretchy sheath on the outside, and then you have the inner tubing on the inside. It's flexible. It'll go around corners. You know, you're always worried about going around your car, and then you're like, oh, somewhere the hose is kinked, and you got to go back and forth. I love that you have an on-off diverter at the end, so you can turn the water off. Traditional hoses don't have that, right? And you know, the thing is, Lou, if you went out and bought 100 foot of the plastic hose, you would probably spend at least $50 or $60 on that hose.
Oh, easy.
Easily.
Yeah.
I mean, they're like, it's like $75, and then they give you the levels. Well, this is okay, this is better.
Yeah, good, better, best. Yep.
This is top of the line. You can't go wrong with it, Lou.
No, you can't right out of the box. And I want people to understand how this works, because this is 25 feet that I'm holding in my hand right here, okay? I'm gonna put it down on the floor in front of this bucket. Now, I've got a 75-foot length of hose hook up to it as well, so I've actually got 100 feet here, but there's water in the 75-foot hose and not in the 25. I'm gonna open up the valve on this one. I'm gonna make sure this one's closed. There we go. Okay, watch this, guy. This is what's going to happen with your hose. The 25 feet
that's cool.
is just going, isn't this the coolest thing? But I'm going to show you the opposite too. When this fills up, I'm going to show you the opposite of this, how we empty it to store it. Now that's just about there. That's about 25 feet's worth right there, okay? Watch this though. I'm going to take this end, put it in my bucket, and I'm going to open up the valve on this. Let me close the valve on the first one. Here we go. Ready? Now, wow. Did you see the force? It actually made the bucket move. Now look at that. Now I'm going to put this back on the floor. Look how compact that became.
I love it.
It's the craziest thing.
Well, you know, I was just going to say, Ed Lou, how many hoses do you have to go through before you get one like this, right?
I know.
I mean, that's what we do, and we don't. I remember when I lived in Connecticut, this is years ago, you know, when my dad was alive and all that, and my dad had one of the big old green garden hoses, and he would leave it outside, and every year, he'd buy another hose. He'd be like, oh, yeah, because, you know, there's no place to store it inside. So he would just leave it outside. He'd put like a cover over it. But it's like those plastic materials cannot handle the temperature. This is flexible. You know, I mean, it makes sense. Rigid materials don't do well in hot and cold. Flexible does. I mean, if you watch it, you'll see flexible, all the way around, wraps around corners so you don't have to worry about it getting kinked. There's no kink in that hose, right? And Lou, your demo, where you showed it filling up and close, I mean, that is everything. So it shows you that you have a really, I love doing this. This is 25 feet of hose. I mean, look at this.
Isn't that amazing?
That is 25, that's 25 feet of hose, right there. You can't do that with another hose.
No, you could almost put that in your pocket, guy.
Yes.
You honestly could almost put that in your pocket. But see, here's a great demonstration of that. Then I'll go back to the water real quick. But this is 100 feet of a traditional rubber hose on this reel. And you can see it's just a mess. It's dirty. It's got memory now, so it's never going to be the same. This is 100 feet of the XHose you're buying right now in a bucket. So, I mean, you could keep this in the trunk of your car. If you live in a condo, an apartment, you don't have nowhere to keep a hose, an RV or a boater, this is great for you. But let me show you the magic again, because this is just incredible stuff. I'm going to come back over here. And remember, I've got 25 feet of hose sitting right here, okay? What I'm going to do is we make sure that's closed. I'm going to open up the valve on the other end, because I have a 75-foot on there. And watch this. Watch this grow, because this is something I could virtually put in my pocket. And notice the way this hose is just expanding out to the full length. That's the big deal about these things. And the fact that this is made with Dacron polyester, so it's not just any polyester, but also, okay, now it's fully open. All right, watch this. Now I'm going to empty it. Watch how fast this shrinks. But it also has the copper. There it goes. I mean, it's done. That was it. Just like that, I just emptied this that quickly. It's just, Guy, look at this. Here we go again.
And Lou,
it's the craziest thing.
Because of what it's manufactured of, which is a mixture of basically of Dacron and copper, it's a hose that is going to be flexible. When you have a rigid hose, that is the one, because a lot of people are worried about the PSI of a traditional hose. this is made for your hose. Okay, this is what it does. So when you think about a finite plastic tube, that is the one that's gonna burst, right? Because the water has nowhere to go but one direction, or it's gonna find a crack, right? With this, you're not gonna get any cracks. So the water is gonna evenly distribute throughout. You're not gonna have any weak spots, no matter what you do. If I bend it as hard as I can, there's no memory, okay? It's because it's flexible, because it'll go in any direction. And I love when you showed the decrease in weight. I mean, you're at what, less than 50% of the weight of a traditional hose, and easier to store, lasts longer. I mean, come on, it's got everything going for it. Look at the scales of injustice. There they are, right? Look at that, I stole Terry Toner's line.
I have to wonder why anybody would lug around 10 extra pounds without the water in it. A gallon of water weighs 8.3 pounds, okay? So just think, if this thing's already almost 14 pounds, the 100 feet of rubber hose right here, imagine adding 8 pounds per gallon to this and lugging that around. Now, I know my choice right here is going to be the Copper X, because what? It's almost 4 pounds. I mean, it's a difference of 10 pounds without the water. And the fact, guy, that I can do this. I can put my hose, that's 100 feet of hose in here. So if I live in an apartment and I got nowhere to keep a hose, you know, but there's a car wash out there, maybe a spigot that they let you use, you can keep your hose in a bucket like this for boaters, for RVers. I love what you said at the beginning of this, man, that you can never make the hose longer. So don't buy 25 feet because that's all you got room for right now. You've got room for the 100 feet of the Copper X hose. You do.
You gotta, as I said before, hey, listen, if you live in an apartment or maybe you know your hose bib is very close to your garage and you're like, I don't really need a longer hose, but then again, you gotta water the plants and stuff. You're gonna wish you got that 100 foot. So if you're on the fence between the 75 and the 100, get the 100. We will probably, I think I only have 700 of the 100 foot left, 650 left of the 100 foot. So if you're on the fence, get the 100. If we sell out of the 100, the 75 is good. And you can always add it to the 25. But the best deal is the big one right here. And again, this is 100 feet of hose. I'll turn it so you can see. That's ridiculous. If you did 100 feet of hose of a traditional green hose, that would be about 7 times, 8 times the size of that, and that's where you'd have to store it. I mean, you can see Lou's got one reeled up there, and you gotta buy a hose reel for that. You don't need a hose reel for this, all right? You know, I bought a flex hose last year off our show, and I've had it, I love it. It's not the copper one. I wish I knew about the copper one. But Lou, it's the same sort of technology. These things last forever. It's the first time in my many years that I didn't have to buy a brand new hose every year.
Well, and the fact that they did, you know, they took some extra steps here. They added that Dacron to this in the fiber and the copper. So yeah, it is gonna last longer. Watch it one more time here. I'm gonna open up my big hose down here. I'm gonna fill the little one. Remember, this is 25 feet of hose. Now I want you to see how that fills up. I'm just gonna put that down for a second. That's the magic behind this. That's how you can have 100 feet of hose in a bucket, okay? Because it will expand to the full length. Now I'm gonna do something different this time, Guy. What I'm gonna do is, I'm gonna stand up here, I'm gonna grab both ends of this, and I'm gonna show you the force of this, because we haven't seen that yet, but I want you to see the pressure. This thing is, I'm probably gonna get wet. This is crazy, watch this. I mean, look what comes.
Like a bullet.
Do you see that?
Yeah.
So you don't have to worry about the fact that, oh gosh, you know, these expanding hoses have never had proper pressure. It's moving, Guy, it's moving the bucket along here when I do that. I mean, that's how crazy the pressure is that comes out.
Watch how the hose do it on and off, Lou. Look at how the hose expands and contracts.
Watch it shrink.
Yeah, watch. Awesome.
Jeez. it went right out of the shot. And if I want to fill it up again, let me put that back in the shot here. If I want to fill it up again, watch this.
Yeah.
And there it goes.
I love it.
I mean, come on.
Snakes.
Look at that.
Oh, snakes.
Yeah, snakes.
Yeah, but they won't bite you. Yeah, you don't have to worry about that. Listen, you know, we're all about, Lou, and especially as we're going to be moving into fall soon. Fall cleanup, you use your hose all the time. And remember, your gardening, you know, a lot of your gardening stuff, I know corn and things like that, you know, if you've got fruit trees, a lot of them bloom right through September. You know, I know I'm heading up to Vermont soon, and I know, like, their season is a little bit later. You're going to need a garden hose, whether it's just to wash your car or your boat or your RV, watering your plants, you know, whatever, cleaning off the deck. get yourself a hose you can rely on. This is the launch of the XHose, woven copper and Dacron material, virtually indestructible, all right? It's not gonna crack on you. You don't have to worry about the pressure. It'll work on any hose that's out there. So if you have an existing hose and you're like, will it work on my PSI? We all have basically the same PSI supplied to us from the water company. And that's why you get, you'll get like a little hose nozzle to make the PSI more, or you'll buy, oh, by the way, if you're looking for a pressure washer, I have a pressure washer coming up in my show today. Lowest price, best value on a pressure washer of the year. And it comes to us from Greenwise. That's coming up a little bit later. Lou, I don't know what to say. Great job, very successful. People loving the Copper Pro, buddy.
Oh yeah, they're gonna absolutely love this when they get it home, Guy. I'll see you in just a little bit.
All right, pal. Lou will be back. Lou's got other great stuff. 076-009 if you want to order it. Hey, coming up at the top of the hour, have you seen it? Well, how many people now? Probably 22,000? 22,500 orders already taken.